Part 2 of the Midwest Tour takes place in Battle Creek, Michigan. The casino is called Firekeepers. We've been here once before for the vlog. In just my opinion, they might have the coolest logo. Check it out. We head inside and get seated right away in the 1-2 game where we see some friendly faces.
Got the hoodie here for Rich. There you go, Rich. Yes, sir. Thanks for supporting. Let's go, man. Gave one to Rick. Give one to Jason here. Let's go, Bobby. Thanks for supporting. Thanks for coming out. I appreciate you. Yeah.
Bang! First hand of the night, I look down at ace-10 offsuit and I raise it up to $12. We get called in 3 spots and flop ourselves an open-ended straight draw, jack-9-8 with 2 spades. I start with a check and the action checks around. We see the turn card, which gives us a gutter to Broadway. It comes the king of hearts. I like to check again. This is one of the first hands since sitting down, and there's a lot of talking going on. I think occasionally I could be betting here with my open-ended straight draw and an overcard, but I check, it gets checked around, and when the river card comes, the queen of clubs, bang, we river the nuts. Broadway, in fact, I lead out for $15. We get called in 1 spot, and that's gonna do it from this 1-2 table. We take down that $78 pot, and we move over to the 2-5 game. It's a match the stack game, so I immediately pull out more cash. I top up an additional $1,200, so I'm into both games for $1,520. About an hour and a half goes by of nothing to report back, just a bunch of folding, and that's how poker goes sometimes. You can see the timestamp in the top right. We left that 1-2 game at 3 p.m. and it's now 5 p.m. Reporting back here with pocket jacks, few limps, and Marty opens it up to $25. Obviously, I'm going to be coming in for the raise. I 3-bet Marty up to $75. A player in middle position who limped puts in the $75, so I guess if it's good for 5, it's good for 75. And Marty puts in the call as well. We're going 3 ways to a flop, which comes queen high, queen 8 deuce rainbow. Both players check it over to me in the hijack, and I decided to go for a bet of $45, just looking to find out where I'm at. Middle position check raises to $125. He's all in, and I put in the snap call. He turns over ace king of clubs, so we're actually ahead in this spot, and let's go off to a run out. The turn comes a jack of diamonds, bang, we turn a set. The river comes a 5 of diamonds, and just like that, we're taking down a nearly $400 pot. Marty's taking us to dinner. Oh wait.
Marty and Marty.
The Marty squared, so we're going to dinner. Thanks, Marty.
Marty Cube.
Not sure if any of your local casinos offer something like this, but Marty has a black card here. He plays around 20 hours a week, and that gets him free food whenever he wants it. I'm not talking crappy chicken tenders and stuff. You got strawberry chicken Caesar and like chocolate mousse for dessert. Pretty unreal, and definitely appreciate the dinner, Marty. Thanks once again. We're back over the table and I look down at 3-4 of clubs. I'm in the straddle and early position opens it up to $40. There's 2 callers over to me and I'm not going to miss out on the fun. I put in the $30 as well. Going 4 ways to a flop, which comes 10-5 deuce with 2 spades. Obviously we have the open-ended straight draw, although I'm not too sure if the ace or the 6 of spades are live considering there's 2 spades on board. Jake decides to bet out for $100 and into this pot I have an open-ended straight draw. I decided to peel one time and see what the turn card brings in. It comes a jack of hearts, which is definitely not a great card for us. We're still left with just 4 high. I check it over to Jake and he surprisingly checks back and says river him to the dealer.
River him.
All right, well if that's what he wants, dealer, put it out there. Bang, the ace of clubs. Just like Jake wanted, we're gonna hit the river, and after he checks back the turn, I can't risk it getting checked back on the river. I lead out for 2/3 the size of the pot for $255. Unfortunately, Jake mucks his cards, but look at that. We're up $200 on the session, and we move on to the next hand where we look down at king queen offsuit. I'm in middle position and I open it up to $20. We're gonna get called by one player in late position, so we're going heads up, out of position to a queen high flop, queen 8-5 rainbow. Action's on me and I decide to lead out into him for $20, which he pretty promptly puts in the call, bringing in an interesting card, the 8 of spades on the turn. If he had an 8, he now has us beat. And there's also the backdoor spade draw that now comes in, but I'm not a chicken. I have top pair with a great kicker. I'm gonna make him pay if he has a draw. I put in $60 into the $80 pot, and he waves that white flag, so that means we take down yet another pot.
Cheers, man. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you.
Bang! Where's the bang? Let's go. That does it on the back, but it's there. They believe you. They saw you.
If you guys need any more incentive to come out to Michigan, the people are super nice. Jason is no different. Thanks for the beer, Jason. And we're into this next hand with pocket kings from late position. The button puts on the straddle. There's one caller over to me. Naturally, I pop it up to $55. And Jake on the button puts in the call, followed by the limper. So once again, we're going 3 ways to a flop, where I position to Jake and the flop comes 9-7-6 with 2 clubs. Middle position checks it over to me, and like I said, we're out of position to Jake. This is a board that's going to smash the button and middle position a lot harder than me. They could easily have any of the sets here, where I don't really think I'm going to be 3-betting with pocket 6s. Pocket 7s obviously is my favorite hand. They could also have all the 8-10s, where I'm not really going to have too many of them. So for that reason, when I don't have the exclusive nuts on this board, I usually start with a check. I check it over to Jake, and now he takes up the betting lead for $100. When middle position gets out of the way, I'm not going to fold just yet, even though this is a strange bet from him. I put in the call, and now the pot bloats up to $365, $1 for every chip of the year, and a really terrible card comes in, the 10 of clubs. Obviously, it puts a one-liner to any 8, the front door club draw gets there, and I don't have a club in my hand to block him from having that. When I check it over to Jake, he doesn't slow down, and he bets now half pot for $175. Now you could make the argument that now's the time to throw our hand into the muck, relinquish it, and just save ourselves $175. But because I checked the flop, I still think he could have some bluffs in his range here. Sure, there's a ton of holdings that beat us, even now 9-10 gets there, but I decided to put in the 175 and hopefully he checks back on the river, and we're good against a random hand like ace-9. 7-15 in the middle, the pot has bloated up, and the river now pairs, coming to 7 of diamonds. Actually a pretty great card for us, because besides it being a red 7, it pairs the board, meaning we beat hands like 9-10, 9-6, 6-10, having 2 pair with pocket kings in my hand. Still, never going to be leading into Jake when he fires 2 streets. I check it over to him, and he does not slow down. Would love to see a check back here, but he loves the half pot size bet, and he makes it $370. I go into the tank for a long time. I even cut out the exact amount of chips in order to call, but ultimately I toss Mudkip to the side and I muck my pocket kings. He says nice fold in the moment, and I badger him an hour later and get the information. He said he had 8-4 of clubs. So he turned the flush, and he's going to get rewarded with that $715 pot. And just like that, we're stuck $200 on the session. We're going to battle in this next hand. I look down at ace-jack of clubs from the small blind. The low jack, who goes by David, raises it up to $20, and I put in the 3-bet to 60 from the small blind. He puts in the call, and that's going to lead us to a queen-high flop. There's one club out there, so I start with a check when I'm out of position. Jake checks behind, and that gives us second pair. It comes the jack of spades. I don't really think a bet accomplishes too much. I'm not really scared of any card, maybe other than a king. So I check it over to David once again, and once again he checks behind, bringing in the deuce of diamonds. I think going for thin value on this river is smart. I sized up to $55, but I even wouldn't mind a bet like 30 to 40 bucks. Unfortunately, David finds a fold, but I'm not complaining. I'm taking down that $120 pot. $14.50 in my stack. I look down at pocket kings once again from the small blind. Jake in early position opens it up to $10. The button, who goes by Sam, re-raises it to $50 now. So a dream situation for me. I'm in the small blind. We have a raise, a re-raise, and I'm going to come in for that 4-bet to $205. $205 seems appropriate, and we're going to get called in one spot by Sam on the button. So we're going heads up, out of position to a flop, which comes 6-6 deuce with 2 diamonds. Pretty great board for my exact hand. I'll also have all of the other pocket pairs, some ace-king, maybe some ace-queen or king-queen suited. In the moment, I decided to balance my range and actually start with a check. The only way this could be a disaster is if the turn card comes a diamond, but when Sam checks back the flop and the 8 of spades peels off on the turn, I now go for that missed value on the flop and bet out for $165. When Sam checks back the flop, it's likely he could be doing this with some of his strong pocket pairs. Maybe pocket 10s, pocket jacks would check back, just not sure why I checked to him on the flop after 4-betting pre-flop. He also could be doing this with a hand like ace-king, although I double blocked that. Either way though, I need to go for value, and he puts in the call. So going off to a river, which isn't a great card. It comes to 7 of diamonds, and now gives him the best hand if he called me on the button with a hand like ace 5 of diamonds, ace queen of diamonds. I don't block any of those combos, but with $750 in the middle, I still think I can get a lot of value from hands like pocket queens, pocket jacks, pocket tens. Considering the fact I checked the flop, I decided to size up on this river and make it look like a bluff, like I have ace king or something like that. $625 is the price of poker, and Sam goes into the tank for a while before ultimately putting in the call, which I like. No re-raise means we have to be good, right? Wrong. We're actually chopping this pot. He turns over the other 2 kings that are in the deck, the 2 red kings, and just like that, we're gonna chop up that nearly $2,000 pot.
Thanks, Nathan. Appreciate you, man.
Hey, my pleasure, man. Cheers.
Let's go.
Appreciate you, buddy.
Appreciate you, man. Don't leave me hanging.
Got you, man.
Yo, let's see it. Let's see that fit.
Let's go.
Rolling right on to the next one, I look down at ace king offsuit from under the gun, and I open it up to $35. Only an early position player puts in the call. That means they're going heads up out of position to a king high flop, king queen 5 all diamonds. Monotone, but I have the ace of diamonds in my hand. I could back into the nut flush. On monotone boards, regardless of my hand strength, really, I usually start with a check, and early position decides to check behind. When the 9 of clubs now peels off on the turn, I'm gonna go for some value and bet out for $35. But unfortunately, he finds the fold, and I'm gonna turn over the ace of diamonds for the table to wonder what I had. Cruising right along, I downgrade to ace queen offsuit here from the button. Few limps to me, and I open it up to $40. The player in under the gun and a limper both put in the call. That means we're going 3 ways to the flop, right? Wrong. The hijack now 3 bets to $80. He just puts in the limp, I raise it up, and now he re-raises it to $80, which is obviously a min raise. I guess I could put in yet another raise, maybe something like $250. Instead, I just put in the call, and that brings everybody else in. So we're going 4 ways to a ace high flop, ace 9-7 with 2 clubs. Pretty great spot for me. I'm in position on everyone, and the action checks over to the hijack, who bets all in for $180. I'm next to act on the button, and obviously I'm going nowhere. I decide to put in the 180. Maybe someone else would call with a club flush draw. That's what happens, although I don't know what Jake has. He puts in the 180 as well, and now we're off to a turn with the side pot potentially brewing. Jake checks it over to me on the turn, and with the 6 of diamonds now coming in, I'm going to get value from any of those club flush draws. I bet out for $375, to which Jake promptly folds his cards. I immediately turn over ace queen offsuit, and the river card comes the queen of diamonds. The hijack showed pocket king, so I didn't even need the river card there. And that means we get rewarded with that $860 pot, and we're up $530 on the session. Cruising right along, I look down at ace king offsuit once again. This time I'm in the small blind. Middle position opens it up to $20, and now Sam on the button, he decides to put in the 3 bet to $60. Gotta play aggressive with ace king offsuit. Sure, it's not a made hand, but it's definitely a premium, and I'm gonna take down the dead money here when I 4 bet to $215, to which everyone folds their cards. But just like that, I'm going to pick up nearly $90 in dead money, and we're moving on to the next one. We look down at the ladies from the low jack. Fortunately, the straddle is on. Player in the big blind, David, raises it up to $35, and one other player puts in the call. Pretty great spot for us once again. We've got a straddle, a raise, a call. That means I'm going to come in for the 3 bet to $125. Jake on the button puts in the call, and the big blind David now re-raises to $13.50. Yes, that's an all-in for $13.50. Pretty strange line. He did raise it up to $35 initially, so his range is uncapped. He could have kings, he could have aces, but his $13.50 shove, to me at least, seems like pocket jacks or pocket kings or aces. Considering I'm losing to 2 out of those 3 combos, after some deliberation, I decide to muck my cards. Yes, I mucked the 3rd best hand ever created. I'm just not exactly sure what this all-in means. To our surprise though, Jake decides to call the $13.50, and just like that, we're gonna see a run out and see if we made a great fold. Flop comes 10-9-5, so now I guess pocket 10s and pocket 9s get there. The turn card comes the king of clubs, so ace king now beats us. And the river card comes the ace of spades, so it looks like a good run out for us having folded until David turns over pocket 6s, which can't surely be good on this board, right? Come on, Jake, turn over a better hand, which he doesn't. He turns over 7-deuce offsuit. We're not even playing the 7-deuce game, and he's playing 7-deuce offsuit for the vlog. Let's leave some comments down below for Jake playing that 7-deuce for $13.50. Looks like I made a terrible fold despite the board being absolutely atrocious for pocket queens. And just like that, David gets rewarded with a nearly 3K pot. Gotta play pocket sixes, I guess. Last hand of the night, we're going to battle with 6-4 offsuit from the big blind. Jake in early position raises it up to $15. He's not done just yet, and the player on the button puts in the call. I decide to call as well. That means we're going 3 ways to a flop, which comes ace-jack-4. We flop ourselves bottom pair. I start with a check, obviously, and Jake bets out for $20. I decide to put in the call. It's the last hand of the night, and we're going to battle against Jake. We haven't forgotten about his pocket sixes all-in shove. The turn card comes the 3 of clubs, actions on me, and I check it over to him once again. He decides to check back, bringing in a board pairing jack of spades. I'm going to check it over to him once again and see if I can get to a showdown, which I do when he checks behind. I confidently turn over my pair of 4s, to which he folds his card, so we're going to end the session with a small win. And just like that, we rack up our chips and head over to the cage, exchanging our chips for some cold, hard cash.
All right, you guys, that wraps up our game here at Firekeepers. What a super fun time. A lot of people came out from Detroit, from Ohio, from Lansing, from everywhere in Michigan. And it was definitely a great time. And at first we hopped into the 1-2 game wanting to play with a lot of people that couldn't play in the 2-5. Got into that for 300 and out for 320, so a profit of 20. Then got into the 2-5 for 1520 and out for 1935, I believe. So a profit of 415 plus that 20, 435 on the night. Super fun and super profitable. Also sold 4 hoodies. If any of you guys want any of those, there's a link down below. But the best news of all is that I was talking with the floor here, Melissa, and she wants to do a meetup game here. She's got to get permission from the upper management, but they don't want all the action going over to MDM Detroit. They want to have a meetup game here in the middle of Michigan. So maybe I can get some of my buddies out here to a huge event here at Firekeepers. If you guys would be excited to do one in middle of Michigan, drop a comment down below. Let me know some other states in the Midwest or anywhere that I should do a meetup game at. As always, good luck on the felt, you guys. I appreciate you guys supporting the videos as always. It means a lot to me. I hope you guys run good on the felt as always, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.
Thanks for watching to the end of my video. Click my head below to subscribe and stay in the loop. See you next time.